JEE Advanced requires in-depth knowledge on any concept. Although as far as chemistry is concerned, things are pretty informative here too. There is just much more information to remember than is needed for JEE mains or boards. A lot of questions are frequently asked regarding which books to prefer. For CBSE in chemistry, NCERT is the only book that you should refer. Nothing extra is needed. In maths, NCERT along with a reference book like R.D. Sharma will do. And in physics, NCERT along with say H.C. Verma or any other recommended books that you have is more than sufficient. For JEE mains, you can add NCERT Exemplar. It's a book which is very rarely used by people, but it's available on even NCERT website. You can download it from there if you don't have still. Solve Exemplar, it is a very good book for JEE mains. And you can also prefer JEE mains archive, which is a collection of 15-20 years questions which has already been asked in JEE mains. For JEE advanced, I share the details in a while. A lot of people are asking question that what should we do if we are in ICSE board? Guys, follow your textbook and any other reference book that you have for your board examination. For JEE mains, you need to practice NCERT Exemplar. The book has been designed by CBSE for JEE mains purpose also. For people from other boards also, it's a good advice to practice NCERT Exemplar along with JEE mains archive. Let's continue. As I was saying that there's a lot of similarity between boards and JEE, and there are some difference as I have already mentioned them. Now, as the exams are closing in, it is okay to feel some anxiety or confusion during last weeks of preparation for exams in general. Happens to each one of us. There's no need to panic. Saloni has asked exemplar for all subjects. Yes, Saloni, exemplar is preferred for all subjects. Physics, chemistry, maths, you must solve it before JEE mains. So hello once again to everyone. We are going to talk about how to balance preparation for JEE exams and 12th boards for maximum output. Let's continue. The idea is simple, guys. Make a good plan for preparation and execute the plan with utmost sincerity. Now I'll try to make a good plan for you to score max in the target examination, be it boards or JEE. Following the plan is in your hands. As we already know that boards are going to start after 2 weeks, and after major paper of boards will be having about 2 to 3 weeks in hand before JEE mains. So let's focus right now on boards and JEE mains, and we'll talk about JEE advanced after a short while. I have devised this session in two phases. Phase one will focus on 12th boards and JEE mains together. We'll have to start preparation from tomorrow, if not started yet, till JEE mains. And the phase two will focus entirely on JEE advanced. The preparation will start the day after JEE mains and go till JEE advanced paper, which is on 20th May. That brings us to phase one of our plan. A lot of you guys are asking a lot of questions. JEE mains will be subjective. No, guys, JEE mains is objective. The paper is both online and offline. Still, the paper is objective. You can check in the JEE mains website. They have released a brochure. They have released a marking scheme and paper pattern is out. So go to the JEE mains website for more details. Which book for organic chemistry? If you're aiming for boards and JEE mains, you do not need any extra book in chemistry. NCERT is sufficient. I repeat, NCERT is sufficient for boards and for JEE mains. NCERT with exemplar and JEE mains archive is more than sufficient to get a very good marks in JEE mains. So people are asking about which sample paper to solve from boards. Get an archive of boards, like last 15 to 20 years papers. I'll be talking about it in my presentation now. So get an archive, get a good book having a collection of last 15 to 20 years. Do not solve random questions, random sample papers of CBSE. It's always better to solve the question that has already been asked in CBSE rather than somebody making some new questions from somewhere. Especially in CBSE, a lot of questions are repeated from last year papers. So if you have done last 10 years paper, you'll find about 15, 20 of the questions are repeating, so it will be good advice to solve last year papers. Regarding math, somebody is asking reference book. Uh, you can take R.D. Sharma. That's a good book to have. Again, NCRT plus R.D. Sharma will do. So, is NCRT questions good to do for boards? NCRT is the only book you should refer for boards in chemistry. I repeat, NCRT is the only book to refer in chemistry. For physics and maths, you can add a reference book of your choice. So we'll be having a lot more Q&A sessions in between. So let's move on with the presentation. So as I was saying that in phase one, our main target will be to cover boards and JEE main syllabus. So while preparing for boards, the point to be noted that the theory part of preparation for JEE mains is already going on, as the JEE mains and board syllabus is exactly same. Once again, books you'll be needing, as I've already told many times, for CBSE, NCRT is the best book to have. You can have a reference book like R.D. Sharma, HCV for maths and physics respectively. For JEE Mains, add NCRT exemplar to a list. It is a must-do book for JEE Mains. Archive is also a very good book. Both are a must-do. I say add exemplar and archive to your list. I have divided this phase one into three tasks. This entire period of about 1.5 months, like first, we'll be getting about 2 weeks before the board starts. Then we'll be having our boards about till 20th to 25th March. And then we'll be getting about 2 weeks for JEE mains. So what to do before boards, what to do during boards, and what to do after boards and between JEE mains. I'll be taking each of the points separately. First, let us talk about the tasks that you should do before boards and you can plan accordingly. So we have 2 weeks in hand. Many of you are asking that what if we have not started preparation, what should we do? There's no need to worry. There's no need to worry. We have a plan for you as well. And for those who are already studying, I hope this plan will help you in scoring even better. In the 2 weeks that we have starting tomorrow, very important point, focus on class 12th only. I repeat, focus on class 12th only. Remember that scoring 75% at boards is now mandatory for getting admissions in IIT and NIT through JEE. So if anyone who is still trying practicing both 11th and 12th simultaneously now, it's a good time to focus solely on class 12 boards and leave 11th stuff for later on. Another important point I'll emphasize on, most of us like to study as per our choices. Like say, if we feel to the need to study chemistry, we spend the entire day in chemistry. This is fine, but why I'm saying to give time to all three subjects, especially physics, chemistry, and maths daily, say 4 hours daily for each subject, because it gives our brain to think in all perspectives daily. Keep it activated in all subjects daily, and that helps a lot in coordinating our thoughts on the day, like JEE means when we need to think all three subjects in 3 hours. I hope the point is clear. So if you have got this habit of studying chemistry for 2 days, then physics for another 2 days, change it for some time. Have chemistry for 4 hours, take a break, have physics for 4 hours, and take a break, have maths for 4 hours. So that way you can spend about 12 to 13 hours a day preparing all the subjects together. This will really help you. Now, how to study each subject? Again, as I said, for boards, your sole focus in these first 2 weeks is going for 12 boards. Focus on NCRT, read the textbook theory, solve NCRT examples. In text questions, solve examples and exercises in the end. Basically, study everything in the NCRT. You should do it chapter wise. I'll tell you how to do it. Say chemistry has about 15 chapters, as you all know, in class 12 in 2 books. We have about 15 days. Try to finish one chapter in a day. It's not that tough. You already have read it many times before. I'll tell you how. For example, in chemistry, solid state is our first chapter, and we have got 4 hours. What to do? Spend an hour in reading the chapter from NCRT. Basically, read the NCRT in a good speed, marking, highlighting important sections. Then spend an hour writing important formulas. In many chapters of NCRT, tables are given to help you in this regard. and they are a big help in this chapter particularly. And try memorizing it as much as possible. So you've been studying for about 2 hours now. Take a short break of 10-15 minutes. Do something totally different. Get your mind off chemistry. You may listen to a song or watch TV for a while. You may have a look at a couple of videos in YouTube also. But guys, YouTube is very, very addictive. So try avoiding it. The break has to be not more than 15 minutes. Then come back to chemistry and try to solve all the problems, the in-text question and exercises of the chapter solid state that we have already studied in first 2 hours. And try to solve them as fast as possible in about say 1 or 1.5 hours. While solving, you can refer to the theory as well. You are not supposed to solve this question as test. Refer to the theory as and when required, and when you are done. And similarly, you can do for other chapters and other subjects. So this is the way you can maximize your efficiency in this 4 hour span finishing a chapter. I repeat, start with NCRT. First star, read the theory part, read the entire chapter as fast as possible. Second are you can write notes, you can write basic formulas and all those things. Take a short break, come back after 15 minutes, and now solve all the NCRT questions, including solved problem, in-text questions, and exercises at the chapter end. In as fast as possible, refer to the theory as soon as when required, so that your theory will be overall covered and you have solved about 15 to 20 questions by now. Uh, Nothing extra is needed for organic and inorganic chemistry. It's pretty much informative, so mug up everything that comes across. For physical chemistry, you may need to make short notes and formulas. So, guys, 178 right now. Hi, everyone joining us later on. A lot of people are asking question percentage distribution of 11, 12, 12 in JEE. JEE doesn't have any specific guideline of its course in 12th, 11th, and 12th. JEE can ask from any chapter, from any topic in its course. Generally, they maintain 50-50 ratio. Plus, in JEE, they rarely ask a question specific to a particular chapter. Normally, they mix a lot of concepts, particularly JEE Advanced I'm talking about. They mix a lot of concepts. So you can have a question from solid state, electrochemistry, chemical kinetics, chemical equilibrium all together in one question. So read entire course. Do not think that if I'm covering only class 11th, I have some upper hand. It's not like that. You need to finish your entire course of class 11th and 12th. And there's no clear demarcation कि class 11th में ज़्यादा आता है, class 12th का कम आता है. It's not the case. So focus on each and every topic. Vishal is asking for some good books. Vishal, can you please specify for which exam you are targeting? As I have already mentioned, for CBSE, you will be needing NCRT. For JEE Mains, you will be needing NCRT Exemplar and JEE Mains Archive. For JEE Advanced, I'm going to talk about some books after a short while. Krishna has asked how to score more than 250 marks in JEE. Good question, Krishna. It's actually very, very easy to do. If you have memorized most of the concepts of NCRT, if you have solved NCRT exemplars with utmost sincerity and solved 10 to 15 years JEE Mains archive, it should be a piece of cake for you to get 250 marks. Frankly speaking, it's easy to get 300 marks in JEE. I normally get surprised when people score 95% in boards or 90% in boards, and sometimes they score so less in JEE Mains. I don't understand why this happens. Maybe people do silly mistakes because the syllabus is exactly the same. The same thing you have written down in your board's paper, the same things are being asked in objective format. Maybe we do silly mistakes in JEE Mains. Maybe we somehow sometimes solve a question that we are not sure about and end up getting too many negative marks, because in CBSE they don't have negative marking, but JEE Mains they have +4 -1 scheme. So avoid negative marks, solve the questions that you're already sure in, and if you're playing a bit defensive in JEE Mains, ignoring a bit tough questions, leaving one or two questions which you are not sure about, you should be able to solve about 25 questions in each subject, and that will fetch you about 100 marks in each subject, and that's how you can secure about 250 to 300 in JEE Mains overall. Animesh is saying how to study organic chemistry. Yes, Animesh, it is very tough. Sometimes things get a bit tricky, and now it's not the time that you're supposed to understand and visualize every concept. It is advisable to memorize as many reactions as possible. In organic chemistry, especially boards and JEE mains, they rarely ask you mechanisms. So you can focus on what are your reactants, what the reagents you are adding, and what are the products they are making. The detailed mechanism part can be left out for now. So guys, carry on. So this was the entire plan before boards. So focus on NCRT right now. Read physics, chemistry, and maths daily. One more important point, as I've written, do not sleep during the day. Many of you may not like it because you have got this habit of sleeping in the daytime. You take rest. Most of us do sometimes. But get this point. Most of our papers, our exam timings are during the daytime. Either they are scheduled in the morning session 9 to 12 or they are scheduled in the afternoon session 12 to 3. So if you have this habit of sleeping during the day, it's about kind of a biology behind the sleep. Our brain gets accustomed to sleeping in that time. So even if you are not planning, say if you sleep like 12 to 3 every day, yeah, 12 to 2 every day, yeah, even if you take a short nap around 12. So even if you are not planning to sleep around 12 the next day because you have a lot of things to study, your brain will somehow tell you it's time to sleep, go to sleep, and will start slowing its activity and getting prepared for sleep. So don't do it. This may, and it's not sure this happens, but this may slow your brain down during the examination time when you're supposed to think maximum. So get off this habit of sleeping during the daytime. 6 to 7 hours sleep at night is sufficient for us. Avoid a lot of heavy food. Have more fruits and vegetables in the days that they'll help you to get out of your sleep schedule, and stay active as much as possible during the day, and try to study in the daytime as much as possible. Many students have got this habit of studying late at night. Now it's a good time you change that habit and focus on studying during the daytime rather than late nights. So moving on. So now you're well prepared for both. Let's talk about what to do during the gap that we get during the board examination before the semester paper. We get different number of days as gaps for different subjects, but the strategy remains the same. First, revise the short note, the summary that you have already made earlier during this 2 weeks preparation. Solve last 10 years boards paper. It's a must thing to do. And also try to give one paper daily in the exam mode. I mean, sit in an isolated room. Tell your parents not to disturb you. Tell your friends not to disturb you. Switch off your mobile phones. Get your paper ready for 3 hours. Get your answer key. And as you are sitting in the examination in a silent environment, attempt the paper as it is the board exams itself, and try to see what is your writing speed. Try to see after paper, evaluate your paper, how much marks you are getting, and try to figure out the points you are lagging behind. Try to point them down, and in the next paper, try to work on them. So, one paper daily in exam mode is very, very important during boards. For chemistry, I have a special advice regarding inorganic chemistry. Many people find it very, very tough to memorize it. Yes, it is too much to memorize in organic chemistry. So I'll prefer whenever you have your chemistry exams, save inorganic chemistry for the day before the chemistry exam. The last moment revision will recharge your short-term memory and it will help to recall the points during the exam. Normally, physical chemistry is a bit mathematical. We are already good at it if we can remember the formulas. Organic chemistry is a bit more conceptual. If you have the concepts, or even if you have solved many questions before, you can answer the questions based on the patterns they have. But inorganic chemistry is a bit more chaotic, and there's a lot of chaos there, a lot of information to literally mug up, a lot of exceptions are there. Focus on exceptions more than the patterns that they are. Normally, JEE and boards, they prefer to ask the exceptions which are given in book to focus on them more and read them just before the exam day so that you can recall it better. So that's all. Hardly we get 3 to 4 days between two papers, so we won't be able to revise everything through. So solve last 10-year boards paper, preferably chapter wise if there, and done with it. One more point I like to add: it's very normal to feel for most of us that one has forgotten everything in a particular chapter just before the exam date due to anxiety. Ignore this feeling, it happens to everyone. Don't lose your confidence. During the exam, the brain is already on high alert. And if you have revised everything thoroughly, though you are not feeling that I remember it, you actually remember it. And you'll be able to recall every information that you have during the exam. So don't worry about if you go through this feeling that अभी तो कुछ हुआ ही नहीं है, जो भी मैंने पढ़ा था सब मैं भूल गया हूँ. It happens to everyone. There's no need to panic about it. Uh, Swati is asking when to study for class 11. Yes, Swati, that's a good question, and I'm coming to that point in my next slide. So hang on. Raghav is saying chapter wise board paper enough for boards. Yes, chapter wise board paper enough for boards. This is what I'm saying, that you have to practice in the time that you get during the boards before your subject paper. That is hardly 5 or 6 days at max. So you won't be able to study everything, the theory part again. So focus on memorizing much more and solve about 20 to 25 questions in each chapter so that you can go through the theory again and you have got this writing practice. If you have got time, then of course you can solve much more questions. But another thing, you are going to spend 3 hours of your days giving the chemistry paper or the physics paper or the maths paper in the real test environment. So that is going to take up 3 hours of your time. So you'll be left with about 6 or 7 hours in a day. So focus on solving board problems. Again, the probability of a new question in boards a bit less, and they tend to repeat a same pattern of questions in board examination. And if you have got extra time, if you have memorized everything, done everything twice and thrice, then you can definitely opt for new question. And for new questions, you can start with NCRT exemplar if you have not done so. Kaustubh is asking inorganic chemistry. As I said, inorganic chemistry has too many things to mug up. So mug it up as much as possible. Focus on exceptions. In NCRT, all the exceptions have been highlighted and they are more frequently asked in the exams. So try to memorize all those as much as possible just a day before the examination so that you can recall it easier. Many people are asking regarding physics what to do. Again, as I said, if you have gone through NCRT, HC Verma is the best book you can literally read it again, twice, thrice, solve all its problem. There's no better book for JEE and boards than HC Verma. Get an HC Verma if not yet, and solve the book. Read the entire book. It's written very, very well. Even when we used to prepare for JEE, we did the same thing. So you can do the same thing. So for physics, HCV is the best book you can have. Atul is saying HC Verma, you're not getting time. In HC Verma, at the end of every chapter, they have given short notes of the entire chapter. They have highlighted all the formulas. So focus on those short notes and formula and try to solve basic questions. You can also get solutions of HC Verma in the market. So if you're out of time, you can have a look at the important problems and how they have solved it. So that will make up for the theory part also. So carrying on. So any more questions regarding board preparations, guys? If you have any more specific questions regarding board preparations, because we are going to move on for JEE mains now. Yes, it's HCV is enough. Neeraj, I'll talk about class 11th in next slide. Adnan is asking for mnemonics. There are none. You can make it of your own if you wish to, but try to remember things as they are. We tend to make silly mistake with mnemonics. So guys, moving on. So Hi everyone again. Those who have joined us just now, welcome to all. We have already talked about how to prepare for both before exams and during exams. Be sure to check this video from the start later on. Continuing with the session, what to do after the boards is over and JEE mains, and that we have about 2 to 3 weeks in hand. Once again, solve PCM daily. Physics, chemistry, maths, solve daily 4 hours each subject, as I have already explained before. Now, the time is less and syllabus is huge, both class 11th and class 12th. Many of you, many of you have asked how to cope up with class 11. In 2 weeks, practically as we all can understand, it is now not possible to revise the entire theory first and then practice questions. So my advice will be start by solving NCRT exemplar. You must have done some preparation, gone through NCRT before, gone through some notes, some books before for class 11th also. There's not much time so that you can read the entire theory again and then solve entire thing. This will take too much time and it will not be possible to cover up the entire course. So start by solving NCRT exemplar, chapter wise. Even if you feel that you don't remember much in a particular chapter you had studied in class 11th long back, don't worry, start solving and refer books and notes as and when required. So it's kind of an open book test that we are giving. If you solve a question, you know it, you get an answer. But if you're not able to solve any question, then refer your books, refer your notes. In that way, the theory also gets revised automatically. Vanita is asking, should we revise class 11th before boards? If you're in class 12th now, it's good time to focus on class 12th only. As I've already said before, class 11th, you'll get some time between after boards and before JEE mains. So focus on class 12th more because scoring more in boards is also very, very important. You need a cutoff of 75% to get a seat in NIT or IIT via JEE. So focus on class 12th. Memorize class 12th right now as well as possible so that after boards you don't need to work on class 12th and you can focus entirely on class 11th. So that will be a better strategy. Kunal is asking during boards break how much time to give to JEE mains. There's no need to. Kunal, understand that while preparing for boards, you're already preparing for JEE means the syllabus is entirely slim. Before JEE means you can just solve many more objective questions based on the JEE mains patterns. So that will be sufficient for JEE mains practice. So during boards, focus on the CBSE pattern, focus on your writing skills, focus on subjective paper. Before JEE mains and after boards, you can solve many questions objective pattern and you'll catch up with the JEE mains syllabus as well as along with your boards preparation. Devendra is asking, can we omit exemplar and do mains archive? Uh, if you're out of time, yes, mains archive is a better book than exemplar. But again, I'll share some important secret with you. CBSE has a habit of asking at least 3 or 4 questions every year in chemistry from NCRT exemplar. So if you're solving exemplar, you never know you can get a scene question. So nothing can be better than getting a scene question in JEE. CBSE has designed exemplar for JEE mains aspirants and they want you to go through the book before JEE mains. You'll find lot of questions in JEE mains archive which have similar pattern in JEE in NCRT exemplar or there are questions literally copy paste from NCRT exemplar. So if you are getting a bit time, solve NCRT exemplar. In chemistry, I can tell at least solve inorganic chemistry part of NCRT exemplar. That is very, very well there. Lot of good questions are there. And JEE means normally pick up 1 or 2 questions from those chapters. So solve at least inorganic chemistry part of chemistry exemplar. Coming back to preparation for JEE mains after boards. As I said, time is less and syllabus is huge. It's not possible to revise the entire theory first and then practice. So simply start by solving questions in CRT exemplar and JEE mains archive. Revise. And even if you feel that you have forgotten everything of class 11th, just solve it. And whenever you feel check up with the theory, refer your books, refer your notes, and that way theory gets revised automatically. Furthermore, now MyPat is a very good platform for you for JEE Mains pattern practice. Solve at least one paper on MyPat for JEE Mains pattern. They have got a lot of test series on JEE Mains. So if you're solving one paper daily on MyPad, you also get your score, how much you're scoring, and also you'll get your relative performance among all those people who are attempting that paper. So you'll get an idea of where you stand, and you'll also get an idea of how much you need to work more on. So that's it, guys. Nothing more, nothing less. Focus on exemplar and archive. That's the entire key for JMIN. Solve as many questions as possible. Do not focus on theory. The theory will be automatically getting revised by solving question. Any more questions regarding JMINs? If ever anyone wants to ask any questions how to prepare for JMINs, we have some time now. Has asked a very good question. बायोमोलिकुल्स पॉलीमर एडवांस के लिए किस बुक से पढ़ें? I'll talk a bit more about some ignored topics of chemistry. For JEE mains, there's a chapter in class 11th called Environmental Chemistry. You must read it. Many of us ignore that chapter in class 11 because it's kind of boring and pretty much informative. But read it. JEE mains asks one question from that chapter every year. So one question from that chapter every year, and the questions are normally very simple. If you can memorize all the tables given in that chapter, you can get that question. In class 12th, we have got couple of chapters which have got less weightage in JEE Advanced but have more weightage in boards and JEE Mains. In class 12, biomolecules, polymers, and then the last chapter, chemistry in everyday life. Guys preparing for boards must read those chapters. They ask at least 3 or 4 marks question from chemistry in everyday life. People preparing for JEE normally tend to ignore these chapters because they don't like it. It's pretty much informative and everything to mug up. But even in JEE mains, they will ask one question at least from polymer, one question at least from biomolecules, and one question at least from chemistry in everyday life. So that's a must read. You cannot ignore it. For JEE Advanced, you need some more information in biomolecules. In JEE Advanced, normally they do not ask questions from environmental chemistry and chemistry in everyday life, but they do ask questions in biomolecules and polymers. And NCERT is not sufficient for that. I have a couple of slides for JEE Advanced in my presentation later on. So stick around, I'll talk about JEE Advanced in a short while. Somebody is asking, is mains informative or IQ based? It's both. There's a lot of information that you need to understand and that you need to memorize. As far as chemistry is concerned, it is more informative than IQ based. So if you have a good memory, you can solve better in chemistry. Physics and maths require a lot of memorizing of formulas and concepts too, but they are more analytical. And the questions in asked, especially in JEE mains, are a bit tougher than boards. So you need a lot of practice in that thing. And if you have solved many questions, you'll figure out pattern in those questions and you'll perform better in JEE mains as well. For now, as I've said before, people are asking that whether you should give more time to boards or JEE now. I'll clarify this again. Focus on boards now. While preparing for boards, your JEE mains preparation is already going on as they have the common syllabus. So focus on boards now. Focus on boards now. Focus on your writing skills now. During the boards, focus on the boards on the writing skills, and you can solve objective questions after boards on JEE mains pattern. You have about 2 to 3 weeks gap between boards and JEE mains, so you can practice objective questions then. Focus on boards now. I have already said many points regarding the same previously in my slides, so check up the video from the starting if you have joined later on. then you'll get much more idea of what is being discussed. Moving on. So JEE mains is over. Let's talk about JEE advanced, the so-called toughest paper in the country in this segment. Actually, it's not that tough in reality. To get a good all India rank, say 1500, you just need to get 50% score. And for people scoring 90 plus in boards, 50% in JEE advanced is really not that difficult if you prepare for it effectively. I myself never scored 90% in any examination in my life. Still, I cleared JEE in one attempt, and I got a very good rank out of it. So do not worry if you are feeling that JEE Advanced is a very tough paper. I have not prepared for it so far, so I cannot do it. You can still achieve it. I'm saying this to you again. If you have the capability of getting 90 plus in boards or even 85%, I got 81%. So if you are getting 85%, 90%, you are much better than me. And if I could do it, you can do it. So getting 50 ideas that in advance target for at least 50%. That's my key point, target at least 50%, which is not difficult. If you are aiming for 80, 90% in advance, then you need lot of preparation, then you need lot of memory, then you need lot of IQ. So if you're not aiming for that high rank, if your preparation is not up to that level, getting a good rank, say 1500, you need 50% in JEE advanced. And that is achievable in short term preparation. I'll tell you how to do it. And that brings us to phase two of our session. Let's move on. So, having successfully attempted both JEE mains, it is very important to start preparation for JEE advanced from the day after JEE mains. I know it sounds very harsh on my side कि मैं तो ब्रेक ही नहीं दे रहा हूँ, खैर यार टाइम भी तो नहीं है. सो जेई मीन्स जैसे खत्म होता है, रिलैक्स ऑन दैट इवनिंग, है ना, जो मन में आता है करो. बट फ्रॉम द वेरी नेक्स्ट डे स्टार्ट प्लानिंग फॉर जेई एडवांस. जेई मेंस का रिजल्ट आता है, द रिजल्ट कम्स इन अबाउट लाइक 30th April. So if you are waiting for the results to come, you are losing about 15 days, about 2 weeks, and that's not a good thing to do. So if you are getting selected in JEE mains, hopefully you'll do. Then you have about 5 weeks for JEE advance, and you are not supposed to lose any day among these 5 weeks. So prepare from the very next day after JEE mains. अब क्या क्या बुक्स चाहिए? Again, subject wise, I'll say physics, HC Verma is really sufficient for JEE Advanced also. The concepts HC Verma delivers to you is sufficient for solving JEE Advanced. But simply solving the book will not do. You must solve, in fact, it applies to all the subjects, the JEE Advanced archive. It is a must do each and every question of last 20 to 25 years. And this takes time because the questions are lengthy. Some questions may be a bit tough. Some questions will require you to open up a couple of books to find answer to. So for physics, SC Verma and JEE Advanced Archive, if you're doing it properly, that is more than sufficient to get 50% for a good rank. That's my target so far. For maths, your boards books practically are useless now. You need some extra material. You can refer to your maybe some institute you are going to. FIITJEE notes also you can refer to. FIITJEE packages are very good in this regard. And then maths, I remember a couple of books from my experience. For remember the name of the authors. There was one book in trigonometry, SL Loney, a very nice book and short book to prepare in short time. I solved one book between mains and advanced, and that was ML Khanna. ML Khanna is that book that it's a very thick book. Lot of questions are there, but it covers every aspects of JEE Advanced. So if you have not solved that book so far, it's a good book to prepare for JEE Advanced in during 5 to 6 weeks. Try to solve as many questions from that book, and it really worked for me, and it can work for you also. For chemistry, it may sound funny. NCERT is again the best book, an exemplar, and JEE Advanced Archive. For certain chapters like haloalkanes and haloarenes, especially the organic part, the J asks much more than what is given in NCRT. They are most the questions are less informative and more mechanism based. So you may need to refer some extra notes, some extra book for chemistry. Sadly, in market, there's no such book I can tell you that this is the best book for J Advanced. So if you are associated with some institutes, FIITJEE, you can refer to the package. You can also solve GMP, Grand Master Package, that is meant for the same purpose. And again, if you're confused about which book to solve, JEE Advanced Archive is the best book you can have. Solve as many as problems of JEE Advanced Archive, and while solving, refer to your notes, refer to your theory as much as possible, and try to solve. Not you may not be able to solve 100% question, but even if you are finishing about 70% of archive JEE Advanced, that is good enough to get 50% marks in JEE Mains and get you a good rank. So read your notes chapter wise. For JEE Advanced, I'll not suggest any particular plan from my side because JEE Advanced is a bit tough in a sense. You need to spend more time on particular topics. And so focus on the topic that you're already comfortable with. I mean to say that if you find some topic very difficult to comprehend, don't spend time on them now. After JEE Mains, focus on the topics that you're good at and strengthen them by practicing more questions on those topics as well. Because these are the topics that are going to fetch you marks in JEE Advanced paper. Second point, a very important point while practicing. While solving, solve the questions completely. Even if you feel that ये question तो अब हो ही जाएगा, don't leave the question half solved, thinking कि अब हो जाएगा. Solve it completely. It's a good practice, and it will help you to avoid silly mistakes like calculation mistakes that we tend to do often in exams, even simple questions. So that's the entire summary of what I mean to say that regarding books, as I have said before, physics, HCV and JEE Advanced. Maths, you can go for ML Khanna and JEE Advanced Archive. And for chemistry, NCRT, JEE Advanced Archive. And if I have to say some book for chemistry, in inorganic chemistry especially, you can have a book by J.D. Lee. It has come with an Indian author also, Sudarshan Guha and J.D. Lee. That is a good book to have, especially for topics like P block and coordination compounds. That's a very good book to have. For organic chemistry, you can refer to the a book called Molson and Boyd, not the original one, the one with an Indian version. So the Molson and Boyd, the book has been published for organic chemistry along with an Indian author. Refer that book. Do not read the entire book. I repeat, do not read the entire book. That's a big book and you won't be able to cover it completely. Focus on the topics you are already strong in. Go to the index section of the book, focus on the topic that you are already strong in, and read something extra about those topics from that book. So that will strengthen your concept in those topics and that will help you to achieve more. For physical chemistry, as everyone knows, you can solve P. Bahadur. P. Bahadur has got a lot of questions. In fact, there are about 2 to 250 questions in every chapter. Try to solve about 15 to 20 or say 30 questions in every chapter. That will be sufficient from P. Bahadur. But again, I'll repeat, solving JEE Advanced Archive is a top priority before JEE Advanced rather than any book you touch. Solve JEE Advanced Archive. Get comfortable with questions of JEE Advanced Archive and then pick up any book for practice. So that's the ultimate key to score about 50% in JEE Advanced, and the better you study and the better you perform. During the exam, I like to add how to score a bit more marks during the examination. Avoid silly mistakes. A lot of us do it. You have also done it sometime before. Do not lose marks in question that you know and can score in. Second point, it may sound odd to you. Never attempt a question you have little idea about. तुक्के वाला गेम यहाँ पे नहीं चलेगा. Many questions have got negative marking and even like -2. Understand that little knowledge is dangerous. This is applicable in JEE Advanced. Say in a multi-option correct question, you have got 4 options A, B, C, and D. And the question says that out of 4, 1 or more may be correct. You know answer A is there. You know B and C is not the answer, but you have no idea about D. Now what to do? You're sure about A is the answer. You're sure that B and C are not the answer. And D you have no idea about. Either you'll take A or you'll take a chance thinking maybe D can be the answer, and you'll take A and D. It's not advisable. It's not advisable. Do not take chance in JEE Advanced. Remember that 0 is better than -2. So if you are solving questions that are in your domain, and if you are solving them accurately, even in JEE Advanced, 50% paper will be solvable by anyone, any average student, anyone getting about 80 to 90%. The more you remember, the more your chance of solving question in JEE Advanced. So if you are aiming for selection in JEE Advanced with a decent rank, say 1000, 2000, focus on solving 50% in with most accuracy. Play defensive, and for a normal student like me, the strategy again I say, play defensive, solve about 50 to 60%, and hope to get 50, 60%. Like while during my JEE paper, I still remember the session about say physics was for 2 hours. Paper pattern was a bit different than back in 2005. It was subjective. It's objective for you guys much better now. Say if I had a physics paper of 2 hours, within 1 hour or 1 hour 30 minutes, I used to solve about 50 to 60% of paper. And I used to count how many marks I've already scored because I know they are correct. And if I've scored about 50, 60 marks, I did not touch any more question. In fact, I revised all those questions which I had already solved before to make them perfect and avoid silly mistakes. And to my surprise, I got 50% marks in all the subjects I attempted. And I got a good rank according to that. So even an average student who feel that my IQ is not up to that level or my practice is not up to that level, you can get about 50 to 60% marks in JEE Advanced. I hope my point is clear. So any more questions regarding JEE Advanced preparations? How much hard work is needed to get a rank under 500? There's no quantitative data that I can tell you that you need this much amount of hard work to get a rank under 500. And I hope you realize that too. What I'm trying to say, you can get 50 to 60%. Rest depends upon your memory and how much you have practiced before. If you have not done practice before, it may be a bit tough to get under the 500 category. But if you're already through the practice, if you have memorized those questions well, practice as much as possible, cover JEE Advanced Archive and the books which I recommended, and that should be sufficient. And if you maintain, if you avoid silly mistake in exam, if you avoid negative mark in exam, you should be able to give a rank under 500. Regarding biomolecules and polymers, again, I'll say Morrison and Boyd it is the book of organic chemistry, and you'll find sufficient information in Morrison and Boyd regarding biomolecules also. For polymers, I repeat, NCERT is sufficient. For polymers chapter, NCERT is sufficient. For biomolecules, refer to Morrison and Boyd. It has got a very good section in that field. Plus, solve JEE Advanced Archive. Solve the questions of JEE Advanced Archive. If possible, you'll also find solution manual for JEE Advanced Archive in most for in the market. So see how those questions are being solved and learn from those solutions. That is the best you can do. For inorganic chemistry, you can go for JD with Sudarshan Guha. There are two books of JD, the original one, and the one with an Indian writer, Sudarshan Guha. Go for Sudarshan Guha and JD. Especially read P block and coordination compound from that book. Raghav is asking how to improve accuracy. Avoid silly mistakes. That's the key point. That's the main reason why we lose marks in examination. Don't take chances in JEE Advance. Avoid silly mistakes. Avoid negative marking. If you're not sure about a question, don't attempt it. Don't lose marks because of silly mistakes. That's the key. There's nothing else to be done. Somebody is asking how much questions in each subject. For JEE Advanced, if you solve chapter-wise archive, you'll find there are about 70 to 80 questions in JEE Advanced archive itself. For many chapters, there are about 100 to 150 questions. And if you have gone through all of them in detail, then refer to the books that I have told you. For each chapter, if you want a number from that, solving 200 questions per chapter will do for you. If you're solving questions of all the varieties, and which will be there in JEE Advanced Archive and most other books. One key point to remember while solving JEE Advanced Archive, do not focus on questions which have been asked before 2000 or say 1995. Back then, the paper was subjective. Lot of questions were very, very lengthy and required about 10 to 15 minutes in solving. Lengthy numericals were there. Lot of questions needed. Lot of multi-step calculations. Those questions are not being asked in JEE Advanced right now. So avoid very old questions like before 2000. You can choose to ignore them. Mark is asking, should I pick up a new book at this time or keep studying from the books I already have? If you have not studied from the books that I have mentioned before, add archive to your list. Whatever books you are reading, you can keep on reading them. But I'll list down the must things to do for JEE Advanced. You must solve JEE Advanced archive. That is a must do. For inorganic chemistry, I'll say read Sudarshan Guha, especially P block and coordination compounds. It's very well given there, and questions have come directly from those parts of that book. Vikram is asking, please give a timetable for focusing on both mains and boards before boards. Vikram, as we have already talked about it in our previous slides, you can go back to the videos, watch it from the beginning, and you can have a look at all the points we have been discussing. Still, I'll repeat a bit. Focus on NCRT. Focus on NCRT now in chemistry. Focus on NCRT. Physics, NCRT plus any reference book you like. Maths, you can have NCRT plus RD Sharma. Study all subjects daily, 4 hours per subject, and try to give up one paper of CBSE level each day if possible. Tips to improve speed and accuracy. For accuracy, as I've said before, avoid syllabus 6, avoid negative marking. Regarding speed, it will only come with practice. The more question you solve, the faster you get in a particular question. So if you're feeling that you're weak in a particular topic or in a particular section, try to solve as many questions as possible in that topic or in that section, and that will automatically improve your speed. So any more question, guys? So moving on. So we have already talked about how to prepare for both JEE Mains and JEE Advanced. I have a couple of more tips for you, general tips to perform better. Yes, maintain a healthy routine. That's very, very important. A lot of us tend to study a lot during the examination. It cannot be avoided, but we don't take care of ourselves. Sometimes we get sick, sometimes we get insomniac. A lot of things happen. It's very important to sleep at the night for about 6 to 7 hours daily. Don't lose your sleep. The more you lose your sleep, you lose your concentration, and that can hamper your performance in the examination. Eat healthy, avoid junk food, have more fruits and vegetables than roti and rice. Roti and rice have more carbohydrates and they take more time to digest. So have more fruits, you'll feel light, and that will allow the brain to focus more on study rather than digestion. So have light food as much as possible. Have more frequent food rather than having lot of food at one time. That will help your brain recover faster, and it will slow the time to register food, and it will help your brain to focus more on study. Take regular breaks during the study, that is also needed. Do not study for 4 hours in one sitting. We tend to lose concentration after 1 hour, 1.5 hour. So take a break of about 10 to 15 minutes after 1 hour, 1.5 hour. Do something totally unrelated to the exam. As I've said before, uh, watch a small clip, listen to music, watch TV, anything you like, but not for more than 10, 15 minutes. So that's all I have for today. I'll end this session with something that is important for even our viewers of class 11th who have been listening to us so far. Many people falsely believe that students preparing for JEE tend to lose focus towards boards and end up scoring less in boards. This is wrong. एक कॉमन नोशन बना रहता है काफी पेरेंट्स में, काफी बच्चों में, कि अगर हम जेई की प्रिपरेशन करेंगे, दिस इज मेनली एप्लीकेबल for those who are currently in class 10th or class 11th who are thinking for going for JEE coaching, and those already in class 11th a bit concerned about what will happen to my boards if they are not able to pay more attention towards this school examination. It's a myth that if you're preparing for board, if you're preparing for JEE, you'll get less mark in boards. That has never happened. In fact, the data suggests that the people who get good marks in JEE, they've also scored good marks in boards also. Ultimately, the concepts are same. It's just about your presentation skill. If you know something, you can answer it whether the question is objective or subjective. So focus on your studies. Don't think all this thing कि अगर JEE की preparation कर रहे हैं तो board में problem होगी. 2 साल के बाद, if your preparation is complete, you'll be good at everything you do. Okay, guys.
All right, guys, that was Mayur, sir. He's given some awesome tips. I'm sure that all of you are going to follow. Uh, I heard a few things and I was listening to a lot of your comments. I'd just like to point out that in case anyone wants previous year papers, they're all available for free to download, and they're already solved by experts across India. Some of India's best minds have solved those papers, and they're available on MyPad itself. Just go to mypad.in, that's mypat.in, and there's a section there about previous year papers, and you can access these very easily. Also, to help you guys out with your preparation during the last few months, MyPad has also released rank boosters. There are rank boosters for JEE Main, Advanced, as well as BitSat as well. So do check them out. They're made by crash course experts, and we've ensured that just with a few quality questions, you'll be able to cover all the syllabus for these examinations as well. So do check them out. They're available at about half the price of other MyPad products, as well as a limited time offer. So I'm sure that can help you as well. In case you have any further doubts regarding how to manage JEE and boards, you can comment here as well, and we'll get our experts to respond to you after the video. So thanks again, guys. It's been a great session, and hope to see you in our upcoming ones. We're going to have some specialized sessions for boards very soon. Uh, they're going to be held across physics, chemistry, and maths. So in case you have any board specific doubts, you can answer. You can get them answered in our next few sessions, which are coming up really soon. Thanks a lot, guys. It's been a good 1.5 hours. Hope to see you soon.